retro gaming on the Lenovo Legion Go 1. So I have installed Emulation Station, but on Bazzite. So I wanted to create a system that allowed me to have all of my modern games as well as retro games. And so I was very conflicted. You can see in some other videos I've posted as of recently, but I wanted to figure out should I do Windows and Bazzite and then kind of combine them together, but I didn't really quite have a decision in mind. So with this, you have a lot of different options. I'm just going to show you here the different systems. I have been daily driving this as well for a little while. And while there's some good things and there are some bad things. And so I wanted to kind of make a quick video, not one where I'm sharing my screen too much. I'll make more in a series down the line where I actually just show gameplay of certain different games. But I wanted to create another video about this because there's not enough people still talking about the Lenovo Legion Go 1, and yet it's still a phenomenal device, and it's only half the cost of the Legion Go 2, and it's significantly more powerful than the Steam Deck, and I would even say like it's probably even more useful than the Go S, which a lot of people are raving about. And so I think that there's a kind of unique product fit here where you could have a full-fledged desktop system if you wanted to. I'm still kind of tempted to put Windows on an external drive or on a eGPU so I could have it for productivity purposes as well. But I made the decision to go all in on Bazzite, and pretty much all of my games work. I had a hard time with the Hero Game Launcher, which is the Epic Game Store tool that you use. And so I downloaded like a dozen games. None of them worked, but I did tweak a little bit too much, I think, before I even ran them. And so this time I just reinstalled a whole bunch of games, ran them before I did anything. Actually, I haven't done anything with them. I just added them to Steam and I called it a day. And so I think that was kind of like more on my fault. And there was also some games that just didn't really quite work. Like I tried to get Diablo 1 on GOG on my Bazite installation and it just didn't really want to work, but I went with Devolution X version of it and it actually kind of helped a little bit. So I think it was just the fact that I was just trying to use the initial Diablo 1. I even have a couple GOG games that I have downloaded because I already purchased them multiple times over the years. And so I had Sid Meier's Pirates and Morrowind as just like random DRM free installs, and I managed to install those indirectly. But this video is about retro gaming. And so when I was deciding operating systems, I was even considering Batocera as well, just to kind of keep it more retro gaming focused and kind of load into that. But I decided, let's just go with Emulation Station on Bazzite. The experience I had with the Steam Deck was pretty good with Emulation Station, so I thought maybe I should just do that as well on here. And honestly, it's been pretty great. I think that Cocoon, the new launcher for like Android, I think is probably more interesting when it comes to visuals, but Emulation Station seems to be doing really well. And I've had a few issues, most of which have to do with emulators, which, I mean, anytime you're messing with emulators, there are going to be some issues to deal with. And I just wanted to express to you what those issues were, how I fixed them, and what kind of solutions that I go around to find. First and foremost, pretty much everything up to like Dolphin works just fine. PS2 worked out of the box, PS1 worked out of the box, Dolphin worked out of the box. I have had issues with controllers on pretty much all the consoles, mainly just due to like setting them up and then the emulator kind of just forgetting that I was using it. So I think that there's been some annoyances like that, like with 3DS and with the Switch emulator, which I can't talk to a whole bunch about, but with Switch emulators, I've had to switch between different emulators anyway, so I've had to re-input the controller config. It wasn't really out of the box like it should be. And with Emulation Station, they didn't install the emulators like they're supposed to. Even some of the older emulators, I had some issues with like just installing. So I think I went with RetroArch with a lot of them, but I think with the Game Boy Advance, I still have my standalone as well. With some of them, I still downloaded the Project N64 one. I don't know if it was Moopin or whatever it was called, but I basically downloaded the standalone just in case. I downloaded the GBA standalone. I also think downloaded the Dolphin standalone too, just in case. But with Switch, I actually had to go in there a few different times and install the app image myself on desktop mode. But with something like more modern like that, you do have to kind of consider the fact that like, hey, it's going to be a little bit more harder to do. I still have yet to get Vita or Wii U working at all. I don't know what's going on with those, and I know that Vita is just already hard in general. I had hell getting it out on my Retroid Pocket, but once I did, it was really great, and it was really cool. And I have a lot of cool games that I put on there a while back, and I really would like to go ahead and play those again, like Sly Cooper, for example. But at the moment, I had to kind of just give up on that, because it was just too complicated, was not wanting to work, even when you put the files in, it just didn't want to work. EU was kind of the same way. Something about the keys, despite the fact I have the keys on there, so I don't know what's going on with that. Switch, I found the best one was Eden. I thought Citron was going to do pretty well, but Citron just was performing like 2 FPS per second. 2 FPS, I mean. That is not acceptable. And it was the only one that actually would launch, though. That was the thing. Like, Ryujinx would not work at all. And what was the other one? Suyu didn't want to work at all either. And I don't think I had tried Yuzu because I couldn't find the app image for it. But Eden worked pretty great, actually. And I was able to get pretty much any game I throw at it to run. And it seems to be running pretty well from what I can experience. I tried a open air wild game, and that actually worked pretty well, surprisingly. And even an Odyssey was very fun as well. It ended up going to the screensaver. So it's pretty cool. It's one of those things where I found that, let's see if I can just switch over to the next one. Yeah, I like the screensaver. It's kind of cool. And honestly, even though it's way overkill for Game Boy games, look how great that looks. And let's see what else comes out next. I don't know what this is. Oh, Skies of Arcadia. Yeah, there's a lot of games I wanted to play that I never got around to playing, and I think that there will be a way to actually get around to doing it now because I have it all in one place. So that was what I was hoping for with a console like this, to be able to play all of my retro games all in one place. And that's what I find is super cool. And so that's kind of the reason why I'm making this video, because it's going to be kind of like an introduction, actually. I think I'm going to make this into a series. Maybe I'll make a video for every console or something like that. I'm not trying to make this a tech channel, but this is the only gaming videos that I've been wanting to make for a while. I haven't been wanting to stream at all. Maybe I could stream actually playing these games and then turn that into videos. That might be wise. But essentially, the various different consoles are a lot of fun to play with, and I found that, like, while I don't put anything into my Steam library, I'm thinking what I might do is like pick like 5 games from any console that I want to play and put those into my Steam library. It's a little extra work. You have to go into the desktop now to do it, but I think that that might be the coolest way to do it. And I have been putting more games on here, and since I have full Bazzite now, I have more storage internally, which is a big difference. I actually ran out of storage when I was partitioning it before, but I think that if someone wants to play retro games alongside your modern games, this is one of the best devices to do it. And I think that this is the coolest all-in-one way of doing it. I found that, like, I really wanted to play both modern and retro on one system, but I just could not get myself to do it when Windows was on here. As soon as I put Bazzite on here, that was a whole difference. And now this is my all-in-one gaming system. I don't need top-of-the-line graphics, and if I do, for some reason, I have the eGPU, which I haven't tried yet. But I should also mention, I have tried this on the TV. And because it was Bazzite, it worked out of the box. With Windows, I had hell trying to figure out, like, oh, is this a secondary display? Do extend displays? Do display 1, display 2? I had a hard time when it came to putting Windows Legion Go on the TV. Whereas with Bazzite, it just worked right away. No issues. And I think I was playing Fallout 4 a little bit, maybe some retro games, but that just was super cool to me. That it just happened out of the box. And if I were to use the eGPU on top of that, it would actually look good on a 4K TV. And it didn't look bad, but it was just one of those things where okay, I can tell this is lower resolution. But the fact that it worked so well just immediately. And one of the coolest things about the Legion Go, and one of the reasons why I wanted it, is the separatable controllers. And that is something that is really nice. It's not as seamless as the Switch, but it's pretty darn close. And considering that I personally want to be able to play with both hands separated, not together, crunching myself up, but nice and separated and relaxed, and be able to play with both hands individually, I think that is really cool. And theoretically, since they have motion control, you could use it for the Wii games, and that would be really fun to play Skyward Sword and Mario Galaxy again the way they were meant to be played. And I think that is the kind of key there. Maybe I have to play the Switch versions or something like that, but the fact that, like, that is possible on a computer without having to deal with, like, finding special controllers or using a VR headset. Like, I bought special controllers 15 years ago, the Asus E-Stick, and there was also like this PS3 Wiimote controller I bought, and I think I even got another one too at one point. Actually, hold on, I'll show it to you real quick, right here. So my first YouTube video I ever made was actually about this, and then one day I'm gonna repost it. But this was like a Wiimote for the computer. And this was like a Wiimote you would use for a computer. My point is, though, that using controllers like that with driver support and all that jazz, this just doesn't work with most controllers. The Legion Go, even though the drivers are not perfect on Linux, they're pretty close. And I actually found a way that fixed an issue with sleep. So I'm going to put this in this video. I'll probably mention it again in other videos. But I had an issue when I put it to sleep. It didn't work like the Steam Deck does. When you put the Steam Deck to sleep and you go back into a game, the controllers are attached, and so the controllers are detected right away. With the Legion Go, since the controllers are detachable, they are not fully linked. It did not detect the controllers whenever I started the game back up. And so I found that there was an issue there. Even if I went to the home screen and then went to sleep, it still wouldn't detect the controllers, and so you couldn't actually access the game again. However, with the Pause Games Decky Loader plugin, it has a little checkbox say like pause before you go to sleep. That's what fixed it, and it works for any game now. And I don't have to do anything. It just literally little checkbox pause before going to sleep, and it pauses the games. And when you go back into it, it takes a few seconds to start back up, and that's fine. I don't mind waiting a few seconds for it to start back up. The controllers work just fine. That is super cool. That is it today. That's all I'm going to talk about. But with retro gaming, I've had a lot of great fun already, and I've barely scratched the surface. It's mainly just been tinkering, but I wanted to make this video about that.